Hello everyone, I welcome you all to my channel Revealing Concepts. In today's class, we would be diving into the concepts of Indian geography, in which we would be learning about India and its neighborhood or neighbors. So let's start. If you consider the mainland part of India, meaning just this part, keeping aside the islands, then the area that India covers as its mainland is 32 lakhs 87,263 kilometers square, which is approximately equal to 3.2 million kilometers square. So this is the area that India covers as its mainland. Now, India is considered as the 7th largest country in the world in terms of area. So when you compare India's area globally, India stands at the 7th position. So it is the 7th largest country area-wise, and it covers approximately 2.4% of the global land. Whereas India is the largest country according to the population, and it accommodates approximately 18% of the total global population. So population wise, India is the largest and it has 18% of world's global population. So we started with the area, which is about 32,87,263 kilometers, which is approximately equal to 3.2 million square kilometers. And with respect to this mainland area, India is considered as the 7th largest nation globally. And it approximately covers 2.4% of the global land. Apart from that, India is the largest or the most populated country where it accommodates 18% of the total world's population. So this was about the area that India covers and the population that India accommodates in this particular area. You also need to understand that we just have 2.4% of the land, whereas the population that India accommodates is 18% of the global population. So the population to the land ratio is very large, and hence we can say that there is the space crunch that is a major problem that exists in India. Now let us understand the latitudinal and the longitudinal positions of India on the global map. So the northernmost point of India is called as the Indira Pole, and this particular point is located at 37 degree 6 minutes in the northern latitude. Now, India originally was in the southern hemisphere, but due to the tectonic activities and due to the shifts in the tectonic plates, now India has gone completely into the northern hemisphere and towards the eastern part. So we can say that India is placed in the northeastern hemisphere of the earth. So here we are going to see the latitudes in the north, the latitudes with the letter N and the longitudes with the letter E, where E denotes eastern part and N denotes the northern part. So the northernmost point of India is the Indira Pole, which is exactly at 32 degrees 6 minutes north latitude, whereas the southernmost, but this I am talking with respect to the mainland, is Kanyakumari. So at the south we have Kanyakumari. And if you want its latitudinal position, it is exactly at 8 degree 4 minutes north. Now, this is with respect to the mainland. But we also know that India has its islands in the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea. In the Arabian Sea, we have the Lakshadweep Island, whereas in the Bay of Bengal, we have the Andaman and Nicobar Island. With respect to the positions of these two islands, Andaman and Nicobar is lying towards the most south part of India, and that is why we have the southernmost point, which is called as the Indira Point in the Nicobar Islands. So here we can say almost over here we have the Indira Point. Now the latitudinal position of this particular point is 6 degree 45 minutes north. Indira Point was a point which was situated in the Nicobar Islands, was considered as the northernmost point, but after the 2004 tsunami, this particular point, it's the southernmost point. This southernmost point of India, it got submerged under the water due to the 2004 tsunami. So the northernmost point of India is Indira Pole, which is at 32 degree 6 minutes north. The southernmost point of the mainland India is at 8 degree 4 minutes north at Kanyakumari. And if you want the actual southernmost point, considering the islands, we have the Indira point at 6 degree 45 minutes north latitude. Now the distance between the northmost point and the southernmost point is 3,214 kilometers. So if you try to find out the distance between the north and the south of the India's mainland, it is 3,214 kilometers. Likewise, let us see what are the eastern and the westernmost points of India. So on the west, we have the Run of Kutch, which is in Gujarat. And it is placed at approximately 68 degrees 7 minutes east. Similarly, on the easternmost part, we have the Arunachal Pradesh, and it is placed at 98 degree 25 minutes. So here if you see, it is approximately at 97 degree 25 minutes east latitude. So the easternmost part of India is Arunachal Pradesh, and it is exactly at 97 degree 25 minutes east latitude, and the westernmost part is Run of Kutch, which is exactly at 68 degree 7 minutes east latitude. The distance between these 2 points, that is the easternmost and the westernmost points, is approximately equal to 2933 kilometers. So 2,933 kilometers is the distance between the westernmost and the easternmost point of India's mainland. So here in the first part, we have studied what exactly or how much exactly is the area of India's mainland. Area wise, India is 7th largest. And then we saw that how much of the land, like 2.4% of the global land is something that India covers. We saw its global population, we saw its comparison with global population, and then we understood the positioning of India with respect to the latitudes and the longitudes. Again, India originally was in the southern hemisphere, but due to the tectonic activities over the years taking place, it got shifted to the northern hemisphere. And these are the exact coordinates, or you could say the approximate coordinates, where India is being placed currently, with the northernmost point as the Indira Pole. The southernmost main Lanka point is Kanyakumari, whereas if you consider the islands, it is the Indira point. The easternmost part is the Arunachal Pradesh, and westernmost is the Run of Kutch. So this is about India's positioning. Now, we all know that there is a line which actually decides the time that we Indians follow. We have an international timeline which is called as the Greenwich Meridian Time, which is considered as according to which the international timings have been decided. But for India, we have our own Indian Standard Meridian line. Now this particular line, it passes through 82 degree 30 minutes north. And this is the line which decides all the time zones in India. Now this line, which is the standard meridian which we Indians follow, it passes through 5 states in India, and you can remember it with the mnemonic. You see my old aunt, where U stands for Uttarakhand, C stands for Chhattisgarh, M stands for Madhya Pradesh, O stands for Odisha, and A stands for Andhra Pradesh. So these are the 5 states through which our Indian Standard Meridian line passes. The mnemonic for it is, you see my old aunt. You just have to focus on the capital letters U stands for Uttarakhand, C stands for Chhattisgarh, M stands for MP, O stands for Odisha, and A stands for Andhra Pradesh. Likewise, we also know that there is Tropic of Cancer, a line that is just above the equator at 23 degree and half a minute above the equator. Now this Tropic of Cancer, it passes through many other continents, it passes through Asia as well, and specifically it passes through India too. And in India, it passes through several states. Now to remember through which states this Tropic of Cancer line passes, there is a small mnemonic which says that Graham cooks just tasty warm food. So again, you have to just focus on the capital letters and try to visualize the map of India. Now see, Tropic of Cancer is a straight line. तो जिस पॉइंट से भी वो शुरू होगी इंडिया में, you just have to consider all the states in line. So if it's here, G stands for Gujarat. So you have Gujarat, then you have Rajasthan, you have Madhya Pradesh, you have Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, then you have Tripura, you have West Bengal over here. So I'll write down the states for you. It is Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Tripura, and West Bengal. So these are the states through which the Tropic of Cancer line passes in India. So this was about the standard meridian line and the Tropic of Cancer line. You just need to know that standard meridian is the line which decides the different time zones only in India, and these are the states through which this line passes. If you consider its latitudinal position, it is placed at 82 degree 30 minutes in the northern hemisphere. Whereas the Tropic of Cancer is a line that passes through these states, for which you have to remember the mnemonic Graham cooks just tasty warm food. Now, this was specifically about India. Let's move on to the neighbor part of India. So, if you try to remember the neighbors of India, we would be remembering them from west to east, and we would be remembering them in the anti-clockwise direction. So here in the westernmost part, we have Pakistan, followed by Afghanistan. Then we have China over here. We have Nepal over here. We have Bhutan in this small space. Then we have Myanmar over here. And we have Bangladesh over here. So if you go from west to east in the anti-clockwise direction, we have Pakistan, Afghanistan, China, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, and Bangladesh. Now, India shares its largest boundary with Bangladesh, and it shares its smallest boundary with Afghanistan. Now, Afghanistan से वो एक ही जगह पर it shares its boundary, that is in Ladakh. Now, let us try to see which are the states that actually borders with all of these countries. Before that, let me tell you that there are total 17 states in India, 17 states and union territories that have international land boundaries, whereas there are 13 states and union territories which share maritime boundaries. The coastline that India has as of now is approximately 11,098 kilometers. Now this is a new number that has been published in the month of February 2025. Earlier India had a comparatively smaller coastline. It's not that the coastline has increased, but the methodology to measure the coastline has been changed, and hence now the coastline has been increased to 11,098 kilometers. Now, what has changed is, among these 13 states and union territories that are used to measure the maritime boundary, it is Puducherry whose boundary hasn't changed at all. but it is the state of Gujarat. Among all the states, it is the state of Gujarat जिसकी बाउंड्री सबसे ज्यादा चेंज हुई है. And if you consider among all 13 states and union territories, it is Andaman and Nicobar whose boundary has changed a lot. So among states, it is Gujarat which has changed. Overall, if you see, सबसे ज्यादा अंडमान की हुई है और जिसकी नहीं हुई, that is just the union territory of Puducherry. So this was about the boundary part and the neighboring part of India. Abhi, let's specifically dive into the states that border with this other countries. So if you consider Pakistan, Pakistan has following states as its neighbors. So सबसे पहले Pakistan has Gujarat, followed by Rajasthan, then there is Punjab, then there is Jammu and Kashmir, and then you have the Ladakh region. So the neighboring states for Pakistan are Gujarat, Rajasthan, Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir, and Ladakh. Afghanistan is placed over here. So the only state or the only part that borders with Afghanistan is Ladakh. Now, the border through which India is having connection with Afghanistan, that particular part is now occupied by Pakistan, and it is a bone of contention between India and Pakistan called as the Pakistan occupied Kashmir, and that is why we are not using it in order to cross Afghanistan. So if we want to go to Afghanistan, we take a different route through the Chabahar port, and that is why as of now we don't consider Afghanistan and India to be having any boundary, because that is the region in Ladakh which is been occupied by Pakistan, and it is called as the POK or the Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Now the next country is China. So if you try to remember the states, now whenever you are trying to remember states bordering other countries, as of now you can use your atlas, you can use your maps to see which states are there. While in the exam you can just try to visualize the maps in front of your eyes so that you would get an idea as to which states are bordering which countries. So if you see in your map, China borders Ladakh. We all know that the Siachen Glacier region in Ladakh is again a disputed region between China and India. So Ladakh is the foremost state which borders China, followed by Himachal Pradesh. Then we have Uttarakhand. So we have Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand. Then the small part is Sikkim, and finally we have Arunachal Pradesh. So the states that borders China are Ladakh. Ladakh ke niche we have Himachal. Himachal ke exact बाजू में we have Uttarakhand. Then there is a gap जिसमें Nepal है. So just ignore Nepal because Nepal is another country. Then Nepal के बाजू में there is one small state which is the state of Sikkim, and finally you have the easternmost state which is Arunachal Pradesh. Again Arunachal Pradesh is a state जहाँ पे China के and India के border issues है. So starting from Ladakh to Arunachal Pradesh, बीच में we have Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Sikkim. So these are the states that form boundaries with China. Now let's move on to Nepal. अगर नेपाल का if we see, here of course we have Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand के बाजू में we have UP. UP के बाजू में we have Bihar. And then we also have West Bengal over here, which forms boundary with Nepal, and lastly we have Sikkim. So the states that forms boundaries with Nepal are Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and chota sa part of West Bengal, and finally we have Sikkim that forms boundary with Nepal. Now let's move on to Bhutan. So if you try to visualize Bhutan ka, so यहाँ पे you have Sikkim that forms border with Bhutan. We also have over here there is small part of West Bengal, that small part of Assam that forms boundary with Bhutan. We have Arunachal Pradesh. So we have Sikkim, Assam and Arunachal Pradesh that forms boundaries with Bhutan. Now let's move on to Myanmar and Bangladesh. These are the two regions, or these are the two countries which are constantly in news, and that is why you need to specifically know the states that are bordering these two countries. So I have a small mnemonic to remember. So for Bangladesh, the mnemonic is WB Ta Me Me. What does this stands for? So the states that borders Bangladesh, WB of course, West Bengal. Then we have, after West Bengal, there is Assam. Then there is Meghalaya, there is Mizoram, and there is Tripura. So the states that borders Bangladesh are West Bengal, Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, and Tripura. These are the 5 states that borders Bangladesh. Similarly, if you try to remember the neighboring states of Myanmar, so uske liye we have the mnemonic Na, Ma, Mi. Now what is Na, Ma, Mi? We will start from Arunachal Pradesh because यहाँ से Myanmar शुरू होता है. So we have Arunachal Pradesh, then there is Nagaland over here, then you have Manipur, and you have Mizoram. So we have Nagaland, then we have Arunachal Pradesh, there is Manipur, and there is Mizoram. So this was about India and its neighboring countries. In today's video, we started with knowing what exactly or how much exactly is the area of India's mainland. We saw certain facts related to its area, to its positioning. We saw its northernmost, southernmost point, the eastern and the westernmost points also. We saw its latitudinal and longitudinal positioning. Apart from that, we saw about the standard meridian and exactly its positioning on the map with respect to India. We saw कि standard meridian किस states of India से pass करता है. We saw that this is the mnemonic that we are supposed to remember. If you can remember it normally, you can, but if you are not able to remember, then you can just look at this mnemonic and try to recollect the states. Similarly, the Tropic of Cancer passes through all these states, and this is the mnemonic. Finally, we moved on to knowing India's neighboring countries, and ये neighboring countries किस के साथ border form करते हैं. In along with that, we also saw कि India की coast line कितनी है. It has been changed to 11,098 kilometers. This change is done recently, और इस change के हिसाब से किस states में कितना change हुआ है, that is also something that we saw. We saw कि Pakistan. We saw that the neighboring countries of India are Pakistan, Afghanistan, China, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, and Bangladesh. And according to the placements of these countries, we saw which states in India border with each of these countries. Again, if you try to just see this video 1-2 times and then try to visualize it in your mind, considering the map of India, you would easily remember all the states and the union territories that are bordering the countries around India. So with this, we come to the end of today's video. If you have any doubts, you can post them down in the comment section. Thank you so much, and see you soon in the next video.